So, I don't know if I mentioned this in another video. I've made so many videos the last 6, 7 months. But how could we grow younger? And I always conceptualized it as basically just taking a DNA sequence and attaching it in reverse, which wouldn't technically work. But, so when you look at DNA and how DNA structures, it is just an organic stacking of molecules that create the exchange of energy that result in this blob that I am of particles. And so, how could you grow younger? Technically, you would have to so if you, I think of it like a ladder. So you take a ladder, which, if you split a ladder in half, that's basically a strand of DNA, as we represent it anyway. It's a little different, but just that's how we visualize it. And so, and I was about like twisting it, but then it's not really getting off topic. So you would have to initiate the same protocol, but in reverse. It would slowly like eat away your bones and shrink them down. And how do you build a ladder, right? So you gotta take a tree, you chop up the tree, you make uh, logs and lumber, and then lumber you nail together. Then you have to have the nails, which are metallurgically formed and engineered, sort of, essentially engineered, right? So all of that is a great metaphor for how DNA forms in nature, how it makes humans versus other species versus plants and trees. And it's not, well, they don't have DNA in trees, but the way that fibers of wood form is the same thing as how DNA basically functions. A tree is essentially like a giant strand of DNA. It's kind of what it is. And it's just a really simple way of trying to think about it. So I don't really have words to explain it, but my brain gets it. It's a weird thing. And so, if we could grow younger, and grow older again, grow younger, and grow older, I mean, and yes, I'm going to bring it here because it's just a very sensitive and interesting topic, I feel, is that you could essentially take your wife's virginity every single night. I wonder how many marriages would stay together. Imagine your wife having a child, and then she's a virgin again. I think a lot of marriages fail because of the lack of sexual stimulation. Is that it's not as stimulating, and there's a lot of other issues psychologically that men succumb to. But would the value lose its value of lust and the relationship is, and that's one reason why sapiosexuals are so successful when it comes to marriages. But because you're playing for the end game with the brain over the body, and then the body next. So the body's always second in line to the brain for sapiosexuals. So you could look at it too. I mean, you just grow younger. You could experience puberty over and over again. What does that do for pedophilia? If your wife grows younger and you're still older. Now, it's all just simple, sensitive shit that I like to. I mean, I think about fucking everything, but I like to think a lot about things that people are afraid to think about and consider. Whether or not you judge me for it, I don't give a flying fuck. For years, people thought I was a communist, so long. I had to defeat that. Everybody I talked to trying to inspire true world peace. You're a communist. Anyway, moving on. It is very plausible. It certainly is how you would initiate that reverse genetic sequence that, basically shrinks you back to the way you were prior moment. Because every single cell, it'd almost be like a virus, right? You need some sort of a virus. Is this the only way that I can envision it? Some sort of, genetic sequence reversing virus that would spread throughout your body and have it every cell. And then you could bounce back and forth. Younger, older, younger, older. It's one of the solutions to immortality that I've found feasible. Is it? Well, certainly. I personally believe it's possible because there's other species out there that do that, similar to what a phoenix does. Though a phoenix it turns to ash, and then burns itself with ash, and produces an egg from its remnants in the ash, whatever molecules are still in there, and then the egg hatches into the phoenix again, and then it absorbs enough energy to construct its egg. That's how a phoenix would, at least I envision. And you'd probably just think how strict that technology would have to be controlled, because you couldn't give it to everybody. You'd have to make decisions for people who want to live forever, who are fearful of death. They are not worthy of it, potentially. And then if you give it to people who might end up totalitarian and dictatorial, and use it to oppress mankind for eternity. Well, and then, everybody's a hypocrite. They want the freedom to limit freedoms. It's ridiculous. Absolutely absurd. I've been meaning to trim this thing, isn't it? Sometimes I just like to let it grow out as long as it can get, just to see how funny it might look. Out of a pirate ship. I could put fuses in here and pretend I'm Edward Thatch. Anyway, it's enough fun. I watch a lot of time travel movies. The last one had a pendulum theory for time flux, so it would flux back and forth. Like a magnet just flipping infinitely in space. So I think it was really cool. It's a good film.